As much as we love our dining room here at the Fletcher House, this feeling started to sink in a few months ago, and it was a feeling of the room feeling mass-produced. What I mean by that is, with the exception of a few plates on the plate wall, or even the table here where I'm sitting, everything else here was purchased at a big box store like Hobby Lobby, Kirkland's, At Home, TJ Maxx, Home Goods, places like that here in the US, or it was purchased online, say Amazon.com, right? Items that I fear if you walked into this room, you would sit there and think, oh, I know where she got that. I've seen it at Hobby Lobby. Yeah, I hope she got it 50% off. And while there's nothing wrong with that, I do enjoy a good deal from either Amazon or some of these stores. When you don't have a good balance of the old with the new, that's when I start that feeling, sinking into my bones of a room feeling mass produced. Is it the end of the world if a room feels this way? No. I mean, there are more pressing worries, right? But it is something I think is legitimate if you have the means in which to update it and change it. So that's what I've done. I've been looking either in flea markets or on Facebook Marketplace for a hutch. Some people also call these things china cabinets, to each their own. I'll probably use the terms interchangeably. There you go. I once had a hutch that was from our family that I had had in several apartments while I was still single, before I had met Brad. And it was a great piece for me to put some of my old vintage dishes, some mementos from trips and things, pictures with friends in that hutch, and I loved it. But it was old. It was old before it ever got to me, and by the time I had moved it around a little bit and was ready to bring it here to our Fletcher house, it was showing some wear, as in the glass panes in the door fronts were starting to come apart, and it would have been specialty glass that would have cost a lot to fix. So I made the decision to donate it, but there's a part of me that's always wanted another hutch, a bigger hutch in good condition that would fit the scale of our home. several reasons why I ended up with the hutch that you see behind me. First of all, the price. This one was originally marked at $600, then it had dropped to $400. I had been watching the listing for a while, so I knew it had been out there on Facebook Marketplace for a little bit. And I made an offer. I offered $275 and it was accepted. So I feel like I got a deal, especially considering I have gone to some flea markets after the fact, found some similar like French provincial style hutches, and they have been anywhere from $550 to $775 for this size of a piece. So I feel like $275 was a good deal. Another thing about this hutch that I really love is with that French provincial kind of feeling to it, it does marry well with some of the other pieces I already have existing in the home. So no need to completely renovate or redecorate our living spaces because of one hutch. Another thing, the storage. I have been needing some storage in this space for linens, napkins, place guard holders, things that we would use here in the dining room whenever we entertain, or even for holidays. And before, I would be going to 2 or 3 different rooms and closets to gather up what I can now consolidate to the cabinets and drawers in this hutch. And saving the best for last, I think, is the space to showcase some items, some collections that I love. Now, the sideboard that I had against this wall prior to the hutch did have some glass front cabinet doors. I did showcase some of my collections in the sideboard. However, all of that glass front cabinet space was down at floor level. So unless you squatting down to pet Oliver or pick up something, you probably did not appreciate what I had on display. And just walking by the room, it would be blocked by our table and chairs. So this hutch puts my collections up higher, closer to eye level. And it's also larger than the sideboard that I had before. It has more shelves, so I'm able to display different things. So I have like refreshed the collection that I had in the dining room, and I'm really enjoying it. Now, the cons, because yes, I'm not going to sugarcoat things and say that it's all peachy here. There are pros and cons whenever you're switching out major pieces of furniture in your spaces. The cons here would be with the sideboard, on top of that piece, I had a large floral arrangement, and I used that space in the middle to switch out the floral arrangement seasonally. So it was a big statement piece, albeit on top of the sideboard. And I would miss that now because I'm not able to stick a floral arrangement into the hutch. Another thing that's a con, I'm considering a con, is I've lost my lamps that were flanking either side of the sideboard. They were larger lamps that I would oftentimes keep on for the majority of the day. They were on timers, but I would keep the overhead light off, just use that ambient lighting from the lamps, and then the east facing sunlight here that would pour into the dining room. And that was enough. It was a very light filled room. Without those lamps, it has been a little bit darker in here. So I've been seeking out alternatives for that lighting source. One of the cons that I have been able to fix or resolve fairly quickly is the one about the floral arrangement. I've simply moved it. I've moved it here to the centerpiece of our dining room table. I do like it. Like it's big, and it marries well, I think, with the chandelier, because the chandelier is what I consider like floral theme or garden themed, because it does have leaves and like petals crafted into it. So I think it's nice to carry that on, considering how much I love to garden outside. But I like how tall it is because it lends some mystery to the space. Like when you walk into the house, you can see, like you can tell there is a hutch back here, but you can't necessarily tell what I've got on feature on my shelves in here. So this floral arrangement requires you to walk around and see what's inside the hutch, and to me, it invites you into the room because I'm not showing all of my cards, if you will, as soon as you walk in the door. And I'll still be able to change it out seasonally. Like I cannot wait to have my fall floral arrangement here, or even our winter, like our holiday pieces here. I think it'll look great. As much as I love this piece for the balancing act it's able to provide now, right? There's a much better balance of old and new in this room, and it feels more like home to me, right? Because I remember being in houses, whether it was my personal house with my parents, you know, growing up there, or it was family homes or even friends' homes, there were antique pieces, you know, those family heirloom pieces in the home. So this feels very reminiscent, you know, it feels nostalgic, it feels like home, but it's brown, right? It is wood finish. It goes well with our real hardwood floors that we have here, and I am very grateful to have real, like, nailed down hardwood floors in this house. But is it too much? And that's a question I'm asking myself, because between the amber gold curtains that we have, now the stain on the hutch, the hardwood floors, even some of the tan and neutral pillows that I have flanking, I just wonder, oh, and I forgot the rug. There's even that kind of tannish amber gold color in the rug. Is it too much? Now there are things I can do, again, to rectify that, or, you know, further balance the space that I'm considering. So you tell me what you think. Very easy adjustments would be to switch out the pillows on either side of the hutch and put some color, maybe an accent color. I do use some of that blue green or even hunter green throughout the house, so it would be very sensible to switch out for those colors. Another thing I could do that wouldn't be as expensive as some of the other changes would be to switch out my curtains. Maybe do a different color curtain in this room specifically. I don't really want to change out the rug because that can get expensive. This is an 8x10. So depending on where I purchase it, it could be expensive. Another thing I'm considering that wouldn't be as expensive, but would definitely require some sweat equity from me, and that's to paint the hutch. Now, time out. I don't really want to paint the exterior of the hutch. I've seen that done in time and time again, and very often tastefully done, but this hutch has done nothing wrong. You know, it hasn't, I don't want to punish it for being wood, being solid wood and being a wood finish. It was made in the 1950s, it's made it this long as its original color. I want to keep that. However, I'm thinking it could help to paint the interior of the showcase section, the top part of the hutch. I've seen it done a lot of times where the wood exterior is kept, but maybe a light blue, a light green, or even a light like ivory cream is painted on the inside. That would paint the backer board, the sideboards, and the shelving. So I'm thinking about that. You tell me what you think. But we're still living with it. I've just within the last couple of days got the room put back together because we had to move all of the furniture in this room to get the hutch into the house and into this room. So we want to live with it for a little while, but I'm trying to be mindful of the brown factor. Is it too brown? Because I don't want to lose the light, airy feeling that I did have in here before. Wrapping up today's episode, I hope what I've explained here about rooms feeling mass-produced, I hope that resonates with you, because I do hope to continue this idea of elevating your home with flea market finds and vintage treasures, because it is definitely a tool you can use to balance the old and the new within your rooms. If you did enjoy, please stick with us, because I must say the sideboard that was in here, I didn't get rid of it. It's moved to the family room, and that's the next project. Now that I've gotten this room put back together, I gotta go tackle that sideboard. And again, I'll be using that concept of old and new, not going too mass produced. Until then, thank you so much for joining us, and take care.